Okay, the next patient packaging system I'm going to talk about is the SKED. The SKED system, it's a commercial system, comes with a harness, a bag to put your SKED in to carry it as a backpack, and several devices in here for different options you need depending on your situation. Some people like to take this out of the bag and pre-rig it, which is great if you have a truck that you keep it on, you respond to the scene, it's already pre-rigged and ready to go. There are some disadvantages to that. One of the advantages to having it inside the bag with the harness is it's lightweight and it's easy to carry, so you can throw it on your back and go through rubble piles or debris piles from tornadoes or disasters to get to a patient, and it's easy to carry. If you already had it out and pre-rigged, it's a little more difficult to carry through those situations because you've got a full length device and you can't get through the debris as easy. Okay, here are a few things that come with the SKED. You get the instruction manual that comes inside of it. You get a tow handle or a tow strap that basically attaches to the head of the board or the head of the SKED, and you can drag the patient across slick ground or through a cave or whatever you need to. You get 4 loops of webbing. These are additional handhold loops. They go in any unused grommet on the SKED. It has 4 handles on it so that you can use 4 rescuers to carry it, but you can have up to 8 rescuers carrying it if you add these handles. It comes with a carabiner to rig with, and then it comes with 2 anchor straps. One of them says on the anchor strap, head strap. The head strap is going to be a little bit shorter than the foot strap, and these are going to be used for a horizontal lift. The other thing that you don't see out here is a 30-foot piece of 11 mil or 3/8 inch kern mantle rope, and that is for a vertical lift bridle. I've already got that pre-attached to this, and I'll show you it when I open it up. Now you can see the 2 other things that come with this Stokes. One is another tow strap that each clip's rated to 300 pounds, and they have 2 handles on them. That's to just have extra people to be able to drag this. And then the 30-foot piece of rope is already on this SKED. It's pre-packaged, and then there's a strap that goes around it to hold it together when you put it in and out of the bag. Once you get this out of the bag, you'll need to unroll it all the way and then flex it, bend it opposite so that it'll lay flat. If you don't do that, it'll want to roll itself up. Okay, I've laid the SKED out flat, and I have my 30-foot piece of rope used for the bridle, the vertical lift bridle. The way that you rig this, I've taken it out to show you, is you find the midway point of the rope. So you put the tails together and then find the midway point. And then you tie either a figure 8 on a bite or a double bite figure 8. Okay, there's 2 different ways of putting the bridle onto the SKED. One is coming straight to the head of the SKED through the 2 big grommets located at the head end. Okay, this is one method. You want to make sure you start from the outside, place the tails of the bridle through each grommet, and then center your figure 8 or double bite figure 8. This is on the outside of the SKED, and then you're going to come from the inside on the next 2 grommets. Next 2 large grommets, right around the shoulders, you'll come from the inside out. The other way of doing this is to bypass the head end and go straight through the alternate grommets right here on each side of the shoulder. That may be used for more of a confined space situation. It could be easier to get the SKED out or through a hole if you bypass this method and go straight through the shoulder grommets. Okay, I'm going to continue with the bridle. The next step is to take the tail of the rope and put it through the handles of the SKED towards the next grommet at the hip. Okay, so I've got my figure 8 going through the outside. Each tail is going to go through the shoulder grommet from the inside. We're going to go through the inside at the shoulder grommet, come out the SKED, go through the handles, and then come back into the SKED where their 2 grommets are placed side by side. This is around the hip area of the patient. Okay, this is how I like to leave the SKED. I like to leave it pre-packaged to this point. There's a couple of different options right here when you get toward the hip. Some people like to incorporate the backboard of the patient into the SKED system, and some prefer not to. But if I leave the tail right here at the hip, it's pre-done, And if you're going to use the bridle or not, it doesn't matter. You can just put it off to the side, but at least the bridle's to this point where you would put the patient into the sked. Okay, now I've got my patient on a backboard. He's secured to a backboard, and then I'm going to wrap the sked around the patient. If you want to incorporate the bridle into the backboard, now is a good time to do that, because once you cinch up the sides of this, it's going to be very difficult to get your hands in toward the backboard to wrap the backboard with the bridle. So to incorporate the backboard into the sked, I'm going to wrap it 3 times around the handle, and the second wrap I'm going to leave a real long loop. That way when we cinch it up, I'll have excess rope here to pull the slack out of the bridle. Okay, you can see I use the middle or the second wrap, and I'll leave the handle really long on it so that I can get to it once I cinch this up. Okay, once you get the 3 wraps onto the backboard, to incorporate the backboard, then you would come from the inside out on the next grommet. We'll go back outside the sked. Once you go back outside the sked, then all we're going to do is go back through the handles and then back into the sked at the next grommet. It's just an alternating in, out, and in, out. We start on the outside of the sked with the figure 8 on a bite. We go through the next grommet right at the shoulders to come outside the sked. We go through the carrying handle. Once we get through the carrying handle and get towards the hips, we bring our rope back into the sked. If we want to incorporate the backboard, we do that then. We come back outside the sked, and then we just come back through the carrying handles and to the feet. The last grommet that you come to, you'll come into it to come back into the sked, and then you'll come out the foot side on the outside, just like it'd be opposite of the head end. Okay, at this point, if you have 2 rescuers, this makes it a whole lot easier, but if you don't, we're going to just place the sked sides up, and we're going to feed the straps through. Just come across the patient on each strap, and to take the slack out, just pull the sides up and get the strap across. If you notice, I left the patient's harness or the victim harness on the patient for this, if we were going to do a vertical lift. Okay, make sure you leave your tails of the bridle that you incorporated the backboard out so that you can get to them. Okay, some people like to take the tail that came out of the chest strap or the straps that come across the sked and tie an overhand safety knot. So I'll do that. You don't necessarily have to, but it is good practice. Okay, now our patient is completely secured across with the sked cinched up around his sides. Now, when we go to tension up this bridle, if we're going to do a vertical lift, we want to make sure the patient has a helmet on, because what tends to happen once this gets loaded is the sked likes to fold over and hit them on the bridge of the nose. So having a helmet on the patient, even eye protection, depending on what you're going through, is a really good idea. So I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to take the tension out of the bridle all the way down. This is where leaving the loop out comes in real handy, because I can take this and pull the slack through. Okay, now I've got the slack pulled through. My figure 8 is loaded evenly in the center, but look at where the tail of the sked comes. It wants to hit the patient in the face, so it's a good idea to have the helmet on the patient. Okay, a quick recap. Came in the outside with a figure 8, went through the sked on the inside to come back outside. I go through the carrying handles with the bridle, enter at the hips right here at the grommet. If you want to incorporate the backboard, you can. That's where I left these loops. I come back out the grommet at the hips. This is where I can take the loop out. Now I can pull this. So right here I've got my 2 tails. I come out the outside, and then I'll take my foot straps place them through these grommets so that I can cinch up the bottom of the foot. Okay, now that I get to the foot end, the tails of the rope are coming out the foot of the sked. I'm going to tie a square knot at the feet. Then I can come in with each tail and I'll go up to the carrying handles. When you get to the carrying handles, now you tie another square knot. And then we're going to put a safety on each side. Just to recap, we go with the bridle from the outside of the sked with a figure 8 or a double bite figure 8. We come through the sked from the inside out. Once we get to the outside of the sked, we go through the carrying handles, come to the hips, go in the grommet at the hips, and then come right back out the grommet at the hips. Go through the carrying handles again, back inside the grommet right after the carrying handles, and go to the feet. Tie a square knot at the foot side of the sked. Come back up to the carrying handles and tie another square knot, and then tie a safety knot on each side.